Welcome designers to another Affinity Designer tutorial. Today I'm going to show you the secrets of the knife and scissor tools in version 2. Starting from the basics, I'll take you on a journey from beginner to advanced techniques. I'll teach you how to create smooth cuts, sharp corners, single and multiple cuts, and cutting inside objects. And to top it off, I'll demonstrate how to apply these tools in a real-world scenario that you won't want to miss. So grab your popcorn and let's get cutting edge with Affinity Designer. The knife tool basics. So I'm going to cut into this round circle here using the knife tool, but first let's find where that's located. So over here on the left hand side, you'll see it says knife tool K. K is your shortcut on the keyboard to access it quickly. I've recreated the icon so you can see it a little bit more clearly. Okay, let's go ahead and click on K. And you can see the icon has changed to some knife shape there. And I'm just going to click and drag down like that. So I've cut into the object now. So what can we do from this point forward? Well, with the knife tool still activated, I can click a portion of it, this section here, and I could just click delete. That's gotten rid of it. Alternatively, I could just press V, the move tool, the arrow basically, and I could just click and drag it away, and there we go. And lastly, I could just click on A, which is the node tool, and I could just go in and maybe just start pulling it apart a bit like this. So there's some of the basics of the knife tool. Let's get more advanced. Now I'm going to show you 4 ways to use the knife tool. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to click on the knife tool. And you'll see up here in the context toolbar, these are the options to do with the knife tool. So by default, stabilizer would be off and it would look like this. So that's what we're going to check without the stabilizer. So if I select my square and I click and drag, you can see if you had an unsteady hand, you could kind of get this really nice jagged edge here. However, if you wanted a more smooth cut, then you would turn the stabilizer on. So if I press K, head on up and click on stabilizer, you see we have these 2 options here. The first one we're going to look at is rope mode. The brush is dragged as though it is attached with a rope, useful for smooth, slow sections with sharp corners. And here you see rope length. So we can drag that up and down. So I'll just show you how that performs. So if I click and drag, that red line you see there is our rope. Obviously the length can be extended. But as I drag it around like that, I can go back on myself and get a nice sharp corner there, or I can get this nice smooth edge like that. So let's test it out on this square here. So if I click and drag around, I'll kind of make a wave shape. I'll go back on myself so we can get that sharp corner. And we've made the cut. So now I'll pull them apart so you can see what it's done. Okay, let's move on to the next one. So I'll press K again, and this time we'll use window mode. Now it says the input positions are averaged over a flexible window, produces a smooth flowing input. So when I click on it, it's instead of rope length, it says window now. So I can play around with that also. So let's go ahead and look what it does. So click and drag. You can see we still have the rope there, the red rope, but it's performing differently. I see this as a rubber band mode, because if I quickly dragged it over here, you see it kind of chases me. And you can create nice, smooth, swirly lines like this. Maybe not so good for the sharp edges because it does seem to react like a rubber band, but let's go ahead and cut into this shape here. So I'll just do that. There we go. And for this one, I'll increase the window a bit so you can see how it performs with that increased. There we go. So I'll pull that apart, and that's what we're left with. So, you know, each tool has its own use cases. So the last one, what I want to show you is how to cut in a straight line. So if we just press on K, I will take the stabilizer off and just have it as we had it before. So with this one, let's say start off with just cutting straight across. Okay, so if you held down Shift and click and drag across like that, it goes in a straight line. You see, even if I go up and down, it's in a straight line. So we've made one cut, you can see there. Now let's do a different one. I'll press K again, and I will hold Shift and click and drag. So at this point, I can actually drag down, and it goes down in 45-degree increments. Remember, I haven't made the cut yet because I haven't let go. So if I wanted to go straight down like that and let go, it's cut down like so. If you wanted a different angle than 45 degrees, then what you do, again, hold down Shift, click, and drag, and you see it's either straight or 45 degree. But if we click on Option as well as Shift, now we can move it wherever we want in a straight line. So I could go over here, let go, and I've made my cut. Also, if you wanted to, let's say, draw some steps, what you do is hold down Shift, click, drag across. Now just let go of Shift while still keeping your finger on the mouse or the trackpad. So let go, and now click on Shift again, and now you can go down, and then click off, click on, move, click off, click on, move. And you see how this works. You can create a cut like that. So, you know, there's lots of kind of like hidden ways of using this tool. I find that really useful to know. Okay, moving on. Now I want to show you what auto close does. So if I select the circle here, I'll press on K, and we'll go back up to our context toolbar. Remember, right at the end there it said auto close. So right now it's not checked, okay? So what this does is this. So let's say I click and drag, and then I go up like that, and I just let go. See, it just cuts into it, but it kind of finishes there. It doesn't really finish off the shape for me, the cut. I wanted it to go all the way around. So if I just press Command Z to go back a second, now I click on auto close, and let's say I cut across and I go up again, and let's say I let go from here, you see it will automatically close off from where I started. And now I can move that out of the way, and that's what it's done. This can be really useful when you are cutting into a shape. So click, drag, if I just do it to here, see, let go, and it will finish it off, and I can drag it out, kind of like a cat eye, isn't it? I didn't know what I was drawing there, by the way. But anyway, that is auto close. Okay, now I want to show you different ways of cutting into your objects. So I have a t-shirt mock-up here. I'm going to go ahead and activate the knife tool, and I'm going to make sure that auto close is checked. And I'm just going to go ahead and cut a kind of tiger claws out of this t-shirt. So I'll just add 3 there. I'm doing it pretty quickly, so it's not turning out the best. All right, so you can see the bits I have cut out in the layers stack down here. There they are, all 3 of those. I could select all of those and press delete, or I could, let me press Command Z, or I could just press the node tool and click on Option and just drag around the ones I don't want anymore, and then press delete. So that's one way I could do it. So we've got our tiger claws cut out now. The next one I want to show you is single cut. So with this one, I'm just going to press on K. I'm going to take off auto close up here. And with this one, literally you could just put one cut in like that and just let go. And with that, you can go ahead and click on the node tool, which is up there on the left. And you can just click and drag them out. So maybe you just want to slice out of it like that. It's a cool way to get a nice simple little cut out of that t-shirt. And the next one is multiple cuts. So I'll do this down here. So I'm going to press on K. Auto close is still clicked off. And let's say I just kind of wanted to cut in like this. So I'll put one cut there, and I'll put another cut there, and let's say cut down like that. So I've cut into it because I wanted to take this portion out. So what I'm going to do is click on that and take it away. But you see I'm left with these lines that I've cut into. If I go on the node tool, you can see they're all still there, and I don't want that. So how do you rectify that? Well, with the object selected, go up to Boolean operations, and you'll see that this one here, let me zoom in, it says fill holes. So if I click on that, keep your eye down here. If I click on that, you see it's gotten rid of all the holes. Everything up there as well, but it's sorted this section out down here, which is kind of neat. Now, if you don't see this section here, because usually you might just see these Boolean operations, just this lot here, but this is a new set, I guess. If you don't see them up here in your options, then you just go up to View and then Customize Toolbar down here. Click on that and you see all these options. You can drag them. There it is, Geometry. You can just drag them into your toolbar up there. But obviously I've got mine in, so I'm just going to leave it. So there's a few ways of cutting into objects. Moving on. Okay, here's an example of where I actually might use the knife tool. So I've got a Monstera plant here, and I want to cut in and make one more cut there, and maybe another extra hole there. So what I would do in this instance is I would click on K, the knife tool, and I'd go up to my settings. I'd probably click the stabilizer on. I'd go on rope mode, and the length I'd probably leave to there, and I'd probably just take off auto close. And I'd head down. I'd click once to select the shape I want to cut into, and I just click and drag to try and get the shape I want to get. Maybe something like this. And once that's done, I'll click once on the bit I want to get rid of and press delete. Okay, so now I want to create the hole. So I'll probably switch to window mode, click on that, and I can just test it out here. Yeah, that seems okay. And then I'll just click and drag around to try and make a hole. And actually, this is where I'd want to choose auto close. So I'll just press Command Z to go back, click on auto close, click, drag. There we go, I get my uneven sort of hole. And then I click once on it and press delete. So there we go. I've got a couple of changes I've made there, and that's one example. So in this example, I want to show you the kind of things that you can do when cutting. You don't have to just cut and delete. You can actually cut to change the color of different sections. So with that circle, I've cut into it and changed the color of it. And then I've created something that looks like this. And I'll show you how to do that now. So I'm going to click on K, knife tool. I'm going to look at my options that I've got here in the context toolbar. So stabilizer on, yes, I want that. I will keep it on window mode. I'll probably whack that up a bit. And I don't need auto close on, so I'll switch that off. Okay, let's start cutting into this. So I'm going to cut, I'll try and kind of copy what I did earlier. So that's one cut, and I'm going to go in for another cut. And I'll just kind of keep cutting around like this. Okay, so I've made all the cuts I want to make now. I will start coloring in each part. So there it is. I can make that slightly darker blue. I click on the next section, make it slightly lighter, and you see where this is going, right? You can create, maybe I can start going to a different color even, you know? And there we go. It's really random, but there we go. So that's a cool thing you can do. Also, I could select all of it and then head on over here to the contour tool. That's O, the shortcut for. I'll click on that, and then if I click and drag left or right, you see I can kind of make it slightly smaller. If we go the other way, we can start blending them. You can see lots of cool kind of effects going on there. But we'll keep it like that for now. And once you're happy with it, you can press Bake Appearance up here. And there we go. All that just from a few cuts. So here's an example where we used the knife tool on text. And I created this glitch effect, and I want to show you how to create it also. So let me delete it all, and we'll start from scratch. So I've got some text here. It's still typable. And what I want to do right now is just cut a line across. So I'm going to press on K, the knife tool, and up here, stabilizers off. I want to cut in a straight line. So I'm going to click on Shift and then click and drag, and that's going to give me a totally straight line there. So now I've cut into it. You can see down in the bottom, in the layer stack, it's no longer typable text. It's now a group. And if I click on that, you can see all of the letters are cut into lots of different layers here. What I'm going to do is select some of them. So I'm going to click on the Move tool, and I want to select all of the top ones. So I'm going to click and drag, and you can see all of those top ones are selected. And I'm just going to go in, and using the arrow key on my keyboard, I'm just going to tap, tap, tap to the right. So it's slightly off. There we go. That's about right there. And because they're in lots of different layers here, I'm just going to select all of them. And I'm going to go up here to the Boolean operations. And I'm going to click add. And that will put them all in one layer. So if I go down to the layers, you can see there it is. Just curves. I can grab it out of there. That's an empty group now. So that's just one layer, all of that. So from this point forward, I would just duplicate it. Just press Command C, Command V. That's created a duplicate. And you can see here in the layers panel, there's one above the other. So I want to make one of them blue and one of them pink. I'm going to duplicate it again. So Command C, Command V. I'll just call this pink and I'll call this one blue. And the top one will just remain black. Okay, so let's select the blue one first and we'll actually make it blue. Now we won't be able to see it because it's behind right now, but I'll just choose some kind of light blue from the color tab up here. Maybe something like that, neon blue. And with the arrow on the keyboard, I'm just going to press left, 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 maybe just a little bit. And with the pink one in the layers panel, I'm just going to select that and I'll just go over to a pink color, make it a bit lighter. And then I will press the right arrow key. 1, 2, 3, one more. And there we go. We've created the glitch effect, just 3 layers there using the knife tool. Okay, now I want to show you how to use the scissor tool. And the icon looks like this on the left-hand side. And it's not immediately obvious where this tool is. So if you go over to the tools, you can see knife tool is there, but you can't see any scissor tool. So what happens with the scissor tool is when you select something, so let's select this open curve here. When you hover over to the center, you'll see the scissor icon appear. With this, we make cuts, obviously, because that's what scissors do. So I'm going to go ahead and make a few cuts here. So 1, 2, make another one here, and I'll just make one right at the end there. So I've made my cuts there. So what can you do after you've made the cut? Well, I'm going to show you in 3 different ways. I'm just going to copy this. I'll just keep my finger on Shift, Command, click and drag down. And I'll just do that one more time. Okay, so first of all, I have made the cuts. If I press K, you can see where I've made these cuts. But if we look down in the layer stack, you can see the one that's highlighted is there. It's still just one layer. I'll cover how to create different layers from your different cuts. But first of all, I'll show you my favorite way of cutting, at least in this instance, with just one open curve here with a stroke. So what I do, I go over to a section that I want to cut, like this, and I hold down Control, Command, and then you see there's this X that appears, and then I just click once, and that will delete that section. Now, if I go over to the other side and Control, Command, click, that's deleted that, and then I can do it on the last one here as well. So that's one way of deleting certain sections, which can be super useful. Okay, so the next way that I want to show you is how to break them apart. So they're different layers. So right now, it's one layer, as you can see there. And if I go up to Boolean operations, you will see separate curves, this one here. If I click on that and then keep your eye on the panel down here, just make it bigger. So I'm going to click it and it's going to turn into lots of layers. So all of those different cuts are now different layers. So from this point, you could just go in, press V, the move tool, and then you can click on each section and start pulling them apart like this. Okay, so on to the last one. So with this one, obviously it's got its cuts in there. So I'll press K so I can see them. Basically, you can go in and just press A for the node tool, which is up there on the left. And you can just start pulling it apart like that. So here we have a closed curve, this square here, and we're going to click on the knife tool again, K. With this one, obviously we can still use the scissor to cut into that, but if we head up to the node up here, we can break this closed curve apart. See the little square? If I click once, can't see anything's happened, but if you click and drag out, now you have an open curve and you can continue designing. So that is how to use the scissor tool. Let's get on to a good example of where I might use it. So here's an example where I would actually use the scissors tool. I've got the simple line drawing. It's a wave a sun and some seagulls there, and you've got the sea down here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start making my cuts. So I'm going to press on K for the knife tool. Obviously, we're going to be using the scissors tool. So now I'm just going to zoom in and start making my cuts. So first thing, I want to get rid of that. So I will just select it once, just click once, and I'll make my cut about here. So I'm just going to go around making the cuts that I want to make. Just as like I told you, just click and cut. Click, and on this one you see here, there's the node, that little box appears. I can click on that, makes it a little bit easier for me. Go in here, get rid of these sun rays, and there we go, making all my cuts. Anything else I need to do? Yep, I will do the sun also. So with this one, again, I can click directly on the node, and same for that one. And I think I'll make a couple of cuts around these really simple seagulls here. So I'll click there, and then on the last one, I'll click that. Okay, so let's start up here. I want to start getting rid of them now. So I'll press Control, Command, and then there's the X that I was looking for, and then I'll just click once. So I just basically go around the whole image, cutting away to reveal the design that I want to see. And what else do we need to do? The sun as well. So here we go. Click, Control, Command, click, and Control, Command, click. And that's it. Very easy to use, the scissors tool, and it works very well. Wow, we made it to the end of the tutorial. Congratulations on mastering the knife and scissor tools in Affinity Designer. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the subscribe button to stay up to date with all my latest tutorials. Also, if you want to support me and my channel, you can use the new Super Thanks feature to show your appreciation. Every little bit helps me to create even more content that you love, so thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next video.